There's a strange rule in the prison. Whenever a man died, the warden would cauterize his feet with fire. Only when the body was completely dead was it wrapped in a shroud and thrown out at noon. But this was watched by the prisoner next door. When the guards left, he couldn't wait to climb out and pull the old man's body back to his room. He cut off his own hair and pasted it on the old man's face, disguising himself as sleeping. Once everything was set, he hurriedly crawled back next door, dug out the treasure map the old man had buried in the wall, and before the guards returned, successfully sewed himself into the body bag. The rest was up to fate. But fortunately, the guards didn't suspect anything. But to be sure, they tied a 100-pound iron hammer to the body before throwing it into the sea. Had the old man not left behind a small knife, he would have sunk into the abyss of hell, just like the iron hammer. But freed from his restraints, he swam desperately toward the light. In the end, Jack escaped death, reborn from the dead. He would begin his path of vengeance. Soon after, the guards came to the cell door to check, only to find the prisoner had disappeared. He immediately realized the seriousness of the problem. By this time, however, Jack had already swum to the shore. Out of sheer survival instinct, he escaped into a house. After a hearty meal, he found some clothes and hastened to change out of his prison uniform, a symbol of humiliation and suffering. But when he looked in the mirror, he was shocked. It had been 14 years since he last saw himself in a mirror. Looking at the worn, unfamiliar face, he momentarily felt disoriented. He thought of his fiancée, Ellie, and his proud father. If it wasn't for his best friend's backstabbing, he'd have a bright future ahead of him. A few days later, relying on hazy memories, he managed to return to the town of his childhood. Now his most pressing concern was to find out where his father was, but fate dealt him a heavy blow.
Died many years ago.
Upon hearing the news, Jack felt his eyes darken and his legs weaken. With only the last vestiges of his obsession, he went to his father's cemetery. Through the pastor, he learned that his father had died alone in the winter of 1825, with no one to mourn for him, because his son, Jack, had been buried here 14 years earlier for treason. Upon hearing this, Jack was both angry and confused. He was alive and well in prison. Why did everyone think he was dead? Had those who framed him never intended for him to escape? With all these questions, Jack went back to his fiancée Ellie's house. However, he was met with heartbreaking news.